In 1975, a classified U.S. military project disappeared from official records. No public files, no confirmation it ever existed. Only one leaked document slipped through the cracks, a single fragment of what appears to be one of the most unusual psychological tests in military history. This wasn't a weapons test, not one involving bombs, chemicals, or firearms. It was something far more silent, far more subtle. It was a sound test. A sound designed not to be heard but to be felt. A sound that could bypass reason, change behavior, maybe even override free will. The location, a cold, isolated listening post in rural Alaska, designated only as Project AURORA-R4, recruits were told. It was a standard Arctic training camp. They were flown in with minimal details, no phones, no communication, but someone had prepared the facility in advance. Hidden directional speakers were embedded inside the walls, under metal bed frames, behind air vents, invisible and traceable. Then the exposure began. First, the audio patterns were simple, low-frequency pulses, repetitive tones at 9 Hz and 14 Hz just outside of conscious perception. Then came white noise, then came whispers, then came things no one could explain. The subjects, young, healthy soldiers, had no idea they were test subjects. There were no informed consent forms, no medical oversight, no warnings. They went about their routines normally, until day 5. That's when one soldier refused to eat, not because he wasn't hungry but because he claimed the food was already dead. When asked what that meant, he couldn't explain. He didn't even remember saying it. Another soldier began sleepwalking, always to the same exact corner of the room at precisely 3:03 am. He stood motionless for 4 minutes, then returned to bed. A third recruit wrote 12 pages of binary code non-stop in one sitting. On the next morning, he had no recollection of doing it. The pages were stored but later destroyed. Supervisors began to notice patterns. Biometrics changed. REM sleep cycles collapsed. Dream patterns became violent. Cortisol levels spiked at exactly 3:00 am across all subjects. Every night. Still, no one reported hearing anything. But soon, they all started saying things they couldn't explain, phrases no one taught them, words that had never been spoken aloud. Some of those phrases were later matched to the layered signal components, suggesting the brain had decoded and processed them, even without conscious hearing. Then came a word that changed everything: the Watcher. One soldier whispered it in his sleep. Then two more repeated it in unrelated situations. Within 48 hours, 5 separate soldiers had referenced the Watcher, without prompt, without discussion. None could explain what it meant. That word was not part of the programming. Not in any document. Not in any training protocol. And yet, it spread, like a virus in language. That's when command ordered the project to shut down. Every hard drive was wiped. The speakers were torn from the walls. The entire base was sealed, and the mission labeled non-viable. But the story doesn't end there. 3 months later, the facility burned to the ground in what was officially described as a power overload fire. No investigation was conducted. No personnel were charged. No photos were ever released. But one thing survived: a backup copy of the sound file. It surfaced in an independent lab nearly a decade later. When analyzed, it revealed interference patterns that closely matched brainwave frequencies in the theta and delta bands, regions linked to deep sleep, memory access, and altered states of consciousness. Some researchers called it noise. Others were convinced it wasn't random at all. One even claimed it functioned like a low-resolution command signal, a form of nonverbal suggestion. But no one could decode the full message. To this day, we don't know what that sound was, or if it's still in use. Was AURORA-R4 a failed experiment in mind control? Or was it too successful to be allowed to continue in the open? Some believe the tech lives on, refined, hidden, used in other ways. Others think the signal was sent once and never turned off. So now it's your turn. What do you believe? Drop your thoughts in the comments and follow for more true stories they never wanted you to hear.